welcome to MentalNet TV. My name is Sarah, and today we are talking to Shareross. But before we do, I just want to remind you to please make sure you are subscribed to MentalNet TV. Hit that little notification bell so you will be alerted to every video. And please remember to give a thumbs up and leave a nice comment for me or for Share. Here we go. Hey, Share, how are you?
I'm good, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you back. I can't believe it's been 4 years since you were on last.
I don't know where the time went. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely bonkers.
Doesn't
Yeah,
seem nearly as long.
it
Um,
doesn't seem real.
so the last time you were here, your world was very different, at least from my perspective. When you were here, we talked about you were still in Vixen. Britt Lightning had been in the band a few years. Lorraine Lewis had just joined at that point. And the big news was that you guys were all songwriting. So we were kind of ready for music tours, what have you. And then since then, and probably shortly after that, you made a really important decision to change something in your life, and that was to step away from Vixen and pursue other passions. Can you tell us about that decision to leave Vixen and like what inspired you to go that route?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a few things kind of came through for me, which was the fly dates, which, when Vixen goes out on shows, they we don't go on a tour bus or anything. It's just like you live your life in airports and hotels. And that was wearing very, very thin for me. And not to sound ungrateful, but it was impacting my health like in a really, really, really big way. So that was one part of the pie that was like, oh man, this is really starting to take its toll. So that was kind of getting to me. And then also, just for economic reasons, I had to step away and just focus on making for lack of a better word, like an adult living. I needed to make like serious money. Like,
Right.
okay, like I'm not 25. I can't live on this. I need to make real money now.
Hmm.
So that was part of it. And I've always had other jobs. I mean, like, music has paid for me for maybe 5 years of my adult life. And the rest of the time it's like work, 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 work.
Hmm.
So which is why everybody goes like, oh, you've done so many things. It's like you have no idea. But and then as for the songwriting thing, I think that was another part of it. We had a sort of just we were not agreeing on the path forward. And so when I combined all of those pieces together, it just made sense for me to kind of step away. And I wish them the very, very best. And I know they have a new singer in Rosa now, and I think she's phenomenal and totally showing up. And there's no weird feelings or like, there's none of that. Um, it really was like kind of for my sanity and my
Hmm.
health both. I really had to make a shift. And it was something that we talked, like Roxy and I definitely talked about it for a while. And she wasn't surprised. I think, she kind of, when you know somebody for that many years, when somebody's not, the cylinder's not firing off in the happiness department.
Yeah.
So there was just sort of a feeling of, okay, I need to just step away from this. And some of it was um also just like for the interim between when I left Vixen and, well, when Vixen broke up in
Mm.
91, 92, whatever that goofy messy time was. um I immediately started playing with other people, and then started running my own band, and I had my own band then from like, I don't know, 93 onwards. Like I never stopped. It was band after band after band after band. I mean, people, some people, not a lot of people, but some people knew about Bubble. But there was also like two or three bands even before that.
Mhm.
So it, it, I just wanted to get back to that. Just like I just want to express myself. I don't want a bunch of like, oh, we don't want to do that song. Let's say, okay, fine, I'll do it. Whatever. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to get back to doing what I do. It's like I've always played music, and I'm never gonna stop. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that emotionally hard, or was it by the time you had brought it to Roxy and again, her knowing probably made it a little bit easier rather than
Yeah.
her being like completely shocked, like what's going on and what are we gonna do? Um, but was it difficult for you, or by the time you got through the process to the moment where you made the decision, had you already kind of made peace with it and it felt good?
Good question. It was definitely an emotional decision. I was super, just like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then, and I love these girls, and Vixen will always be a part of me. And who knows, I may still go back to it tomorrow. I don't know.
Right.
I'm definitely a believer in, you don't know what the future holds. None of us do. So it was very emotional. And I can tell you, um, I talked with, obviously, with Bam, my husband. I talked with Roxy at length, and just really had to sort out my emotions around it. And it also became doing what's, this sounds really stupid, but it became kind of doing what's right for the fans.
Mhm.
Like, I felt like I didn't want to be there. So why is that? That's not good for me to go on stage. I'm like, felt like I was ripping them off. It was just like this weird feeling, and maybe that's too overthinking and over emotional. I don't know. But needless to say, on my last gig, when we brought Julia up and everything, that night I got so drunk and so hammered. I don't drink anymore, by the way, but I got so drunk that night. Oh my God. It was terrible. And I think it was just sort of like letting out all of this, like, these weird feelings, this conflicting emotions. But I'm not gonna lie, like, afterwards, there was kind of a sense of relief, like I've done the right thing. That was the right
Yeah.
thing to do. Sometimes things run their course in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I love them and I wish them the very, very best. And it's not like I have negative feelings or anything like that. It's just sometimes you change and you need to move on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that because it is, it's something that you could choose to keep to yourself. But it is nice to know just as a fan. And I think everybody understood that it was a choice and that everybody supported you in that. And then just,
Yeah,
really just moved on and got all these incredible people like Julia, who
yeah.
I talked to shortly after she joined, and now Rosa. Do you miss you've played with so many different bands, you've written so many songs, and I know you probably play music like every single day if I know you, but do you
Yeah.
have moments where you're like, oh, I kind of want to be on stage doing that Vixen song, and just kind of that feeling of like, oh, I chose to step away, and like, do you ever like little moments where you're just like, okay, I kind of miss that, and I
Definitely.
unvolunteered myself for that experience.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I think in all honesty, I think what I really miss is the heyday, like the tour bus and the just like everything's taken care of and you don't have to worry.
Right.
The more recent stuff is it's a lot more stress. Who's gonna drive the van? 9 times out of 10, I would drive the van.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So
so it really came to that weekend warrior where you're really
yes.
pulling into a van type of
Yeah.
situation. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
different than where you started with Vixen specifically.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. But I do miss, the energy of being on stage for sure. Fortunately, because Bam is my husband and he's so musical, we kind of, if nothing else, we just play guitar together, or one of us plays piano and the other one plays guitar. We have two drum sets set up. We have, like, I don't know, two pianos and like 19 guitars all over the damn house. So we're always playing. That's just like, it's just kind of a thing. In fact, I can't really talk about it, but a film crew was here last week for something else, which might or might not happen. But when they walked in, they just went, "Holy shit, this is a full on, like, every room is a recording studio." And I was like,
That's
well, yeah,
that's kind of how I imagined your house.
yeah, it pretty much is. It's just, every room is set up to record.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so in this transition, and this is kind of the way I see it, so correct me if I'm missing
Sure.
this. I know that at some point you moved to Florida, and I think it was before
Oh,
all of
yeah, that was
'cause I think the
years
last time I
ago.
spoke to you,
Yeah.
you had already been in Florida for a little while. But I guess the way I look at it as a fan, if we're going from like 90s Vixen to, right before you left, you were in Florida, which is a newer area, not the LA scene that you had been a part of for a long time. You left this band and are doing some other musical stuff, but then you also are a real estate agent. And so did you feel when you left that like that your life switched, or were those things all coming slowly in an evolution? Did it just all kind of, is it just my perception as a fan that like, wow, Cher's life is so different now that she's not in Vixen, or were you kind of already on that path to your life being what it is now?
That's a great question. Quite frankly, yeah, my life's not different at all.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, it's really funny. I have, I think I kind of referenced it earlier. Like I've just always had to hustle for a
Right.
buck. So it's always been about. Um, Let me just back up for a second. So when I was younger, I was pretty much a gun for hire, like session player. I was like the session cat. And so there was a certain point when I was in my 20s where I kind of realized I didn't really want to do that anymore. I wanted to play music that had meaning to me, that I was like more of a member of something. And that was when I proactively started to seek out a band. And that was eventually I found Vixen. And then, you know, I joined the band, and then it was within a year, I think we had a record deal. So that all happened very quickly, but it was a very conscious decision on my part that I didn't want to. And God bless anybody who's out there doing this, whether you're a session player or you're in a cover band, or you're in a tribute band, rock on. That just was not the path for me. I really wanted to make music this thing that I could keep as being precious, as being this thing that was just very close to my heart. So having that decision in my soul, um, I turned down gigs that were kind of offered to me like in the 90s and everything. And just, you know, I would go out and paint houses or whatever,
Mm,
because I just didn't want to take that gig to just be again that replaceable gun for hire, or maybe you're not replaceable or whatever. But I just wanted to do the music that I wanted to do. Whether or
mm,
not it was successful, whatever. I just wanted to do it. So that's kind of always been my MO. That's why in most ways, like nothing's really ever changed. I'm always just like, music is it's the icon. It's the golden cup. It's like what I protect.
right.
And so everything else is a means to that end. Whether it's real estate or one thing, you know, as a life coach, a video coach, a video editor, used to edit videos for all these record companies back in LA, paint houses and catering for rock managers. I don't know, name a job.
Right.
You
Right.
know? But I guess that's what I mean is like, that's why it hasn't really gotten that different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Although my phone number is very public now. That's very different.
Yes, it definitely is. Um, when you look back, like you made this decision, you really stuck with it throughout your life to protect your music, let it be sacred to you, and then do what you got to do to pay the bills and everything. When you look back, knowing what you know now, if you had to do it again, would you have done the same thing, or would you have said, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have taken some of those gigs so that I was always playing music."
That's a great question. I think I might answer that in a slightly different way. I think one of the decisions that impacted um like the fact of like, okay, well, I'll just go paint houses or whatever I have to do, was because, and listen up, kids, we as Vixen did not write enough of our own damn songs. So we were fucked financially.
Mhm.
And that's what I would have fought a lot more for. I mean, we did fight pretty damn hard. I mean, we had those phone calls with our manager with screaming matches and phones being slammed and all that kind of shit. But that's what I definitely would have fought for, because at the end of the day, if you don't have that publishing,
Right.
you're going to be painting those houses.
Right. And you had
Yeah.
shared that last time that you don't have these like massive Vixen royalty checks coming your way all the time, which probably would make a huge difference to
Yeah.
how many houses you would have had to paint and how many videos you
But
had to do.
I mean, to answer your question, no, I don't regret turning those gigs down. I'm not going to name who any of them were
No.
or whatever, but yeah, they were big names. This is after Vixen, but they were big names. But I just was like, ah, why? You know, I'm just going to be this, just play, just do what you're told, stand over there, do what you're told, blah blah blah. And I was just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. It's just not. I'm not employable. because I can't have a boss and I can't be a bass player for somebody else, except for maybe Joe Elliott, because I think he's amazing. Um, and I love the Joe Elliott thing, and that doesn't feel like a session thing. Let me rewind that a little bit. It doesn't
Yeah.
really feel that doesn't really feel like a session. Like he would send me the songs for the Down and Outs album and just be like, to play, just send me the bass parts. Yeah, I mean, so nobody told me what to play or anything. He was great.
Yeah. That's cool. So the real estate thing, was that something you had dabbled in before, or was that something you started relatively new a few years back?
I started in 2000, the beginning of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was doing that at the same time as doing the fly dates with Vixen.
Right.
That's why things were kind of going
That's
like
gotta be
this.
difficult though, because Vixen was like, I'm guessing like weekend dates mostly,
Yeah.
right? And I would think that a lot of people want to look at houses on the weekends when they have time, or open houses and things like that. Like,
Yep.
it really makes it hard to do your job well.
It sure does. It sure did. Yeah. No, it was really. It got to be kind of funny sometimes. Like I had partner agents who would cover for me a lot, and then some of my clients just there was kind of two sets of clients. Some clients were like, "Oh, it's so cute that you sing, honey. That's so cute." Like they don't understand bass playing or whatever, you
Right.
know. It's like, "Oh, so I hear you sing. Are you a singer?" I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And then other people would be like, "Oh, I understand you were gone for the weekend. Did you have a nice break?" And I'm like,
You're like,
I'm literally exhausted. What? So people just thought I was like jetting off for weekend breaks all the time. It was really funny. It got to be like a joke.
have you had a
Yeah.
diehard fan buy a house from you in the
I
last
have.
7 years? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're
That's
good friends now.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. They must,
a few times.
did they
Yeah.
reach out because they knew you were you, or did they just get you one day and go, holy shit, you're Cher from Vixen?
It's happened both ways.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had somebody who reached out because they were literally planning to move to Florida. And they said, we love Vixen. And they actually knew my whole everything I've ever done,
Everything. Yeah.
like literally everything, and bam. And but they were like, we're moving to Florida, and we're just not sure if you service the area that we want to move to, but we do need a realtor. And it turned out they were moving to where I operate. So they were awesome. They're still my really good friends. And yeah, and then there's been a few times I actually have a client who's they're closing next month in May, and they found out after the fact.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah, like they had already like been referred to me by somebody, and then they're like, "Wait a minute," and they're like, they have the cutest. Oh my god, they're awesome. They're so cute. So yeah, but and so I give those people different closing gifts than I give a lot of other people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. So you're in Florida still, right? Do you
Yep.
find
Since 2009.
oh, so you've been there like a minute, a good long
Yeah.
minute. Do you find that you have a nice scene of musicians down there if you want to get together with other folks? I imagine it would be very different than LA back in the day or Nashville nowadays. But do you feel
Yeah.
like you have a nice community of people?
Um, I think there's a lot of nice musicians here, but because Florida is a tourist state, it's not really conducive to like, let's just go play a gig. It's like, not at all. Like, immediately it's like, oh, well, what covers do you play? It's like,
Uh-huh.
excuse me? So in fact, there were some times where real estate clients would say to me like, "Oh, you were in a band, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they'd say like, well, what band?" And instead of just saying Vixen, I'd say, "Oh, I was in a pretty well known '80s band." And they'd say, "Oh, you were in one of the '80s tribute bands," because they would
Oh, interesting.
automatically assume because that's a thing,
Yeah.
all these tribute bands, da 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 da. And
Getting
I'm
to
like,
be a very big thing, actually.
yeah, it's a huge thing because I mean, you walk down, there's a main avenue, and they always say like live music, blah blah blah. But you walk down, you hear Rod Stewart, then you hear Metallica, then you hear Bon Jovi. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, no, no, I haven't. I've connected with a few players, but no, it's not like LA. We do up most of our stuff, but like we record, we'll send it to our friends and various, all over the planet, "Here, throw a guitar on this for us," or add a backing vocal for us or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Um, so you last time you were here, we talked at length about your musical family, your mom's side in particular, where
Yeah.
mom played piano, her siblings, I think she's from a family of seven, did you say? Seven kids, I should
She
say.
Yep, yep, she had 6 brothers and sisters.
And so everybody played, and I
Yeah.
believe your grandparents even played. Um,
Yes.
so you come from this incredible musical family, and you'd also shared that whenever there was a gathering, like music was being played.
All the time,
All
yeah,
the time, all the
yeah.
time. And, is that still something in your family? Like, if you see a cousin or whoever, like, do you guys still, grab your instruments and, like, just play
Uh,
like you always did, or is it a little different now?
yeah, it's pretty different. I mean, my my parents passed, and a lot of my aunts and uncles have passed. I do still have one aunt that's alive, and I talk to a lot of my cousins, but, yeah, she was kind of how there's, like, that one person that
Mm,
everybody gathers around? So it was my mom. Like,
got you.
she held all the
She gathered
gatherings.
everyone.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So, since she passed, like, that was kind of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of it. Yeah, yeah.
Are any of your cousins playing music the way you did?
Um, I think I have the one cousin, he's in Iowa, and he was actually the one that played, bass guitar with my mom playing piano, and I can remember I don't know how old I was really little, and I loved the sound of the bass. I was just like, "That is just so cool." I just loved it. And that's my cousin Larry. And I think, and it's terrible that I'm not really sure about this, but I'm pretty sure he became a music teacher. But he was a phenomenal musician, and it
Cool.
was it was definitely he was definitely influential for me choosing bass,
Mm.
as well. But his son, who I'm not sure where he's at now, but his son was a really totally had a career as a jazz musician. So I'm assuming he's still doing that.
That's very cool. It's I
Yeah,
just thought, with all of those siblings and like just so many people, the sheer volume
yeah.
when your family paid musicians who are musicians, you would think that that next generation would yield many, many
I
music,
know you would.
like the
Yeah, you
Osmonds or something. I
would.
don't know, because your sounds
Yeah.
like your mom
I'm
was
trying to
almost like the
think.
Osmonds.
I know, it kinda was. Yeah, it was crazy. No, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else right now. No, I mean, there was definitely, like, my cousins had kids who all became, like, kinda musical and were doing things, but then everybody went, "Nope, I'm gonna go to college and do this instead, blah, blah."
Right.
So nobody really pursued it, you know?
Right.
I was just I mean, I dropped out of high school, and the day I turned 18, I was on the road with a band.
I know, that was incredible.
So, I was just very bullheaded, and if you told me like, that's why I said I'm unemployable. Like, I can't work for somebody else.
That's amazing. Well, I figured that that would keep you playing music always and forever anyway, just coming from that, having
Yeah.
success. Because you last, like I said, last time you had shared that you started playing a bass and it wasn't like the world's greatest bass, and you were trying to convince your parents to get you a better one, and then you got a gig like 2 months later, and then I feel like you've been playing ever since.
Pretty
Like
much.
that's pretty much when your career started.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it just never stopped, and it's so funny, isn't it? You think back to those childhood instruments, and, man, if I had those now.
You don't
Oh
have
my
any now?
god!
You don't have any at home?
No, none of them. No, they're
Oh.
way, way I don't even have any basses from Vixen.
Oh, really? Oh, you're
Yeah,
breaking my heart now.
I know. No, no, I sold them to pay rent years ago.
I hope whoever has them understands what they
I think
have.
I sold most of them to a really awesome fan/friend. He's a great guy, and I think I sold most of them to him. I honestly can't remember.
Oh,
But,
wow.
um but I'm happy with the instruments I have.
Yeah,
I don't walk around having regrets. I'm
yeah.
good. I'm not here going, "Oh, poor me." Like,
No, but
I
I'm
know
I'm
I know
here
they have a
I'm
good
here
home.
going, "Whoa, poor me." Like, we can't get show us
Don't.
our old faces, come on.
No, it's good. I have awesome bases
I'm
now.
sure you do.
Yeah, they're really awesome. They're really, really awesome.
So, music is always with you. Tell me about you have so much stuff going on. You're producing for other folks. You're making music yourself. You had teased some music this past winter in, I think, December, January, and February. You had posted some stuff on Instagram. Let's start
Yeah.
talking about what you have going on musically right now.
Cool. All right. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, Bam and me realized, um, from the time we did our last album, Twin Flames Radio, which was 2018, um, we had to do a bunch of work on our house. And when your house is your recording studio, haha, you can't record. So, so we had to have the roof done and all this glass put in for to protect us against hurricanes. So it was really like about 3 years on and off of this
Wow.
massive construction because you had to it just took a long time, trust me. And then we had to change computer recording software. So then we had to learn it all again. We actually had to we hired a mentor to help teach us how to use this software and the hard oh my god, it was like insane. So then we finally kind of started getting it together like what are we 2025, so we started to get it together for real like last year 2024. It was like okay, I getting it now. I'm understanding it more and more. And so we were working on a bunch of our new songs, and then our friend, who is also our neighbor now, him and his wife moved here from Beverly Hills. I sold them their house, and
Nice.
yes, and they live 2 blocks down the street, so convenient. And so Rick Browdy was the producer for Poison's biggest album, Joan Jett's biggest album, Ted Nugent, of course, Bam with the Dogs D'Amour, and of course he produced Bam and Me and other things as well, and loads of other stuff. Anyway, so he calls up and he's like, "I'm talking to this band, and I think we're going to produce them." And sure enough, we did, and they are the nicest guys. They're called the Midnight Devils, and they're out of Nebraska. They're a really fun, super high energy punk band.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so that it was so funny because you know how necessity is the mother of invention. It's also give Bam and Cher a deadline, they will get shit done. So Bam's like 24 hours a day, like building, like, oh, we have to build a container for the amp and we got to, and he just went to town. And so that forced us to really finish things for the studio. And very proud to say that we recorded all of their tracks, I think, in 5 days. I think it was
Wow.
5 days. Yeah, no, and then well, then the singer and the guitar player came out and did a few more overdubs, but we did the bulk of everything in 5 days. And so and we kind of have a flow, so that was cool. Like we produced loads of bands in LA, but this was different because this was like I was saying, the equipment is so different for us. So it was like, ah, what are we doing? So it really forced us to learn. And I can remember, they're in here and I'm like Googling, what's the shortcut for making another version on the same track in Luna? Like, how do I do this again? Like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. You don't want to be an idiot. It's like, just give me one more minute. The engineer's not ready.
Right.
Oh God, there's nothing worse. So, so yeah, we really learned a lot and it forced us to get that together. So that was great. And I think the album came out great for them.
Mhm.
And they toured the UK, Australia, Japan, all over America. They're a really hardworking band, and they put on a very entertaining show, I might add. And then I don't know, yeah, Bam and Cher. We're always doing stuff musically. The our challenge is we both listen to a lot of varieties of music, and when I mean listen, like hardcore. Like I love the Eagles, Hotel California, but I also love Iggy Pop. And then I love Buena Vista Social Club out of Cuba. Like I could listen to that all day long, every day. But then I need the Stones and I need Zeppelin. And you know what I mean? So then when it comes to writing, you kind of go like, oh crap, I have all these bizarre influences coming out of me now. What am I doing? Who is this?
Yeah.
So we're always concerned about like how do we arrange this? What instrumentation should we put on it? Oh my God, what are we even doing? So we're just exploring kind of everything right now. I think I teased out least that one song that we haven't even started to record yet, which is really funny. We have a lot of songs that are completely done, like written, every word, done,
Okay.
done, done, done,
And
done.
is this Twin Flames radio music or is this another band?
Ah, I don't know what we're gonna call it,
You don't,
Sarah.
you don't know. Okay.
We don't even know. We don't even know. I'm like, maybe we should just call it Bam and Share. I don't know. Just like, who cares? You know, like just call it our names, like whatever. Um, and if anybody has a comment on that and says, just call it Bam and Share, like that's a good idea. Maybe we should, you know,
Comment below,
because
everyone. Comment below.
yeah, because it really is like, I don't, you know, sometimes we're like, is it a bubble song? Is it a Twin Flames radio song? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. I really don't know.
So you've been producing this band, and you've been working on your own music and just
Yeah.
going with the flow, following your soul and not worrying about whether it's, Twin Flames Radio or whatever you're gonna call it.
Yeah.
What else have you been working on? I think we've been trying to get back together for a while now, and I think the last time you and I almost got together, you had done music for a soundtrack. Have you been doing
Yeah.
any of that kind of work?
Yeah, that's what this great director, his name is Shane Stanley. And Shane directed the last Vixen video that we did for You Ought to Know by Now with
Okay.
Janet, me, Britt, and Roxy at the Whiskey. He was the video director of that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have always stayed in touch, and so he's always making movies, and he just reaches out randomly, is like, "Hey, blah blah blah, I got this movie, da, 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 whatever." He had a movie that was like huge on like number one film on Netflix for a whole month or something, and he had used 5 songs from us, which was amazing for us, obviously because there's 5 songs. But what was even weirder was it spanned like this whole course of our songwriting,
Hmm.
because there was a band that he used a song from called Subcool, which was the band Bam and me had right when we first got married. Like, got married, came back from our honeymoon, and our guitar player moved in. That's when you know you're dedicated, right? Or crazy. Um, yeah, a little bit of both for sure. And that's Colin. Colin's a phenomenal guitar player. And then yeah, then there was, God, I don't know, there was some bubble tracks, and then Twin Flames Radio. I think there was something else in there too. Anyway, yeah, he's always got movies coming out that always have our music. He's always like, I want to use this song, I want to use that song, blah
That's
blah blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
So he goes in knowing your stuff and says, "This is what I'm interested in," as
yeah,
opposed to you curating and saying,
right.
"Okay,
Yeah, so yeah, we weren't like specifically writing for him or anything like that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's
Correct.
cool though that your
Yeah.
students get another life and somebody who has like love for them and
Yes.
has a home for them."
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and the song that I was gonna try to play for you or whatever today, I don't know if we can get that to work, but if I can, that is being talked about for being used in a TV commercial for a nonprofit. So we'll see if that comes together. Because I'm a board member for Wings of Rescue, also with Rick Browdy, who runs Wings of Rescue, and so it
And
would be for,
what's that for? Who does that?
so Wings of Rescue helps the animals that are misplaced in, you know, like disaster zones, and so it's private, like planes, not like nice fancy luxury planes or anything like that. Like you're like, you probably, if you're in one, there's only like 2 or 3 people in the plane, and the rest of it's dogs and cats.
Okay, so like a
And
six-seater maybe with some pets and a couple people flying the plane.
like figure 200 to 300 crates of dogs and cats,
Oh, wow.
and you're not strapped. There's no seatbelt. You're not strapped in.
Right,
Um,
right.
these are like private planes, and they go into disaster zones and rescue. It's all like, you know, they don't just go in and find a dog and a cat. It's like they work
Right.
with the shelters, and then they bring them back to the shelters that are no kill. And 9 times out of 10, they already have homes before they're
Oh,
even, you know, out of that area. So like they're, you know, like they've done, like our dog came from Puerto Rico,
mhm.
um, after like some big thing there. Well, actually, our dog was abused. So yeah, he was like tied up under a house or something. But so Wings of Rescue is going to be doing a commercial, and Rick was like, "Oh my god, that the song is called Shine." And
Mhm.
he's like, "That would be so perfect for this commercial. Would that be okay?" And we're like, "Of course it would. Like, why wouldn't it? Of course, it's totally fine." And we'd be honored. So that's going on. And then gosh, what else? I don't know. There's always so many things going on, Sarah. I
Yeah,
sometimes I
I know
just have
that
to
about
like,
you. I get lucky because sometimes you send me like a little text and I get to hear some cool stuff, which I love so hard. You don't even
Aw,
know. I love that so
you're so
hard.
awesome. Oh, I'll text you more.
Yes, do.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
like, yes,
I
I'm
will text
ready.
you more. I will
I
text you more. I will text you more.
love it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's like a lot of that. I mean, I meditate every day.
Mm.
That takes up a little piece of time. And then Bam and me are really I don't know, we just have a we have a curated lifestyle. Um, we don't eat meat. We eat probably 99% of all of our meals at home. Everything is organic. We grow some of our own food. We're trying to grow more.
Mhm.
Everything is just we're just conscious. It's like conscious living. So I really focus on, you know, just that being present and living your life in a positive way and being a force for positive energy and things like that. And it infiltrates into the music as well. There's a song we're working on that the the main title of the song is just the lyric is, "Do you know what it's like to be loved?"
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of people don't, and it starts with self love. If you don't love yourself, if you don't give it to yourself, you cannot give it to anybody else. You've got to start with the internal side. Ooh, I got deep and heavy. We
Yeah,
can
it's
get light
super
if you
deep.
want. I
And
know, I did.
you haven't even mentioned the beach yet because
I
I
know.
have this fantasy of your life that you get to go to the beach. I live in a coastal town, so I go to the beach all the time, but we also have cold weather 3/4 of the year, so I'm more hanging out at the beach in my car, but you
Right.
go to the beach, go to the beach a lot.
We
Thing.
do. We do. I'm hanging my head in shame. Just
Is
haven't
this another
been.
share fantasy I have about you, by the
Yeah,
way?
well, I do. I go in the pool a lot. We have our own pool, which I'm really grateful for. And we do jump in the pool a lot. This sounds really silly, but a lot of Florida pools are heated because during the winter months, the pool itself, even if it's like 70 degrees outside, your pool is going to be really cold. It's like a
Mhm.
cold plunge. So we use it as a cold plunge.
Okay.
So we just jump in. We're just like, screw it. And then we both like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump in the pool and scream your head off.
I feel like that's how my beach works though. Like
Yeah.
I'm not on Cape Cod, but I'm very close. And some of our water is cold, but you do the plunge and you're good. And then after that,
Yeah.
it's great. But then we also have beaches. I have this one that I love. It is so cold.
Yeah.
I grew up with cold water, but it is so
Yeah.
cold that like I've gone to the beach and not managed to go in the water, which I hate. I'm like so against that.
Oh,
But it's
man.
that cold. But then you go down the Cape and there's also warm water beaches where you feel like you're in a bath.
Oh, cool.
So
That's cool.
so I get the
Yeah.
plunge thing where you're like,
I
okay,
love it.
good now.
I'm
We're
just
good.
gonna go
Feels
in. I'm
good.
gonna go in. Yeah. So, I haven't been to the beach for a while. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, yeah, it's just a lot of time, and kind of the priority has been, okay, we have a spare hour. Let's like put a guitar down or put a piano on or do a backing vocal or whatever.
Yeah. Share, what is your songwriting process? Like what's your ideal way to throw down a song? And for you, is it a particular way that is consistent for you, or do you have multiple ways that you approach it?
I guess it's mostly multiple ways.
Mhm.
It usually starts either on the guitar or the piano.
Mhm.
This time around, there seems to be a lot of piano songs happening this time for me. And then Bam tends to write on guitar, but we use different guitar tunings.
Okay.
So he writes in regular tuning, and I write in open G 5 string tuning. And so that gets confusing because I'll be like,
Is there a reason you're drawn to that?
yeah, I always went with the open G 5 string thing because um, there was a turning point in, I guess it was about 1991, 92, somewhere in there. And I was hanging out with the guy I referenced earlier, Joe Almeida, the world's most phenomenal guitar player, literally on the planet. The man who said no to Guns N' Roses. Sorry, Joe. Yes, I'm bringing that up. Um, he did then recommend Gilby Clarke. Um, so Joe came over one day, and I was friends with Joe as well. And Bam was off in England or whatever. And I wasn't with Bam or anything. Joe has always been my friend. And Joe saw me struggling to play guitar because, like I kind of referenced earlier, I'm not the best at playing a regular 6-string guitar tuning. And he was like, "What is it that you want to do?" And I go, "I just want to be able to write the songs that I have in my head. That's it.
Mhm.
I don't care if I'm a guitar player. I just want to be able to write them." And he goes, "Well, why don't you just use an open G tuning? Like everybody associates it with the blues and with Keith
Oh,
Richards, but you don't have to do that. You can just use it to write your songs." And so I was like, "What? How have I never even heard of this? I don't even what? I don't what show me." And so he just took the string off, retuned the guitar, handed it back to me and showed me the tuning. I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." So then, I could just fling and it's here. I have the guitar right here. I just happen to have the guitar. Probably won't be able to hear it, but it's tuned to a G chord. That's my Les Paul.
we
And
missed that too. We didn't.
no,
Oh,
wah.
all right, that's
um,
okay. But no, it was
but
a game
anyway,
changer for you. That you could just
yeah,
go in and write your songs now and not
totally.
fuss with all of that.
Yeah. And so what was interesting was initially, because the tuning is so different to the notes on a bass. Now I'm in like this totally like no man's land of like, I don't even know what I'm playing. Initially I was just like, what? So I really um was because I'm so schooled on piano, it was really exciting to me to be able to pick up the guitar on that tuning and not really know what the chords were.
Okay.
This was a new experience for me. So I was completely using my ear. And then that was, like there were several different iterations of several bands. And then eventually it became Bubble. And then I became, I was the guitar player for Bubble. And that was why, was
Mhm.
because it was like, now I've written all these songs in this tuning and, and Bam was like, you should just play
You're the
that.
one
And I
that
was
should
like,
play that.
and I was like, I'm not a guitar player, and you have all the imposter syndrome stuff and all that, which, I didn't have that phrase back then, but that was totally what I had. So to answer your question, a lot of times, I just gravitate towards that. Although now I know all the notes and I know where everything is, so that little mystery piece is gone. Um, but it's still it just flows for me. It's just this thing. The trick is to not write songs that sound exactly like the Rolling Stones. That's the trick.
Okay. Did you just check in with yourself to make sure that you don't do that or
Well, there's certain ways to not play.
okay.
Yeah, and Led Zeppelin used a lot of open tunings as well, like
Okay.
Kashmir. Like, don't do that because you'll sound like you're playing Kashmir. I was like, oh shit.
That's amazing. So you guys go in that way, and then when do the lyrics come in for you when you're writing a song? Are they kind of like at the very end when the song is totally put together, or do you kind of weave the lyric writing into the process?
It depends. Sometimes, for the record, I feel like when the song really happens, I feel like it's a download. I don't even write it. I just feel like it's like, okay, got it. All right, thank you. And just it's like bleh, and it just like happens. So, and I like that because then I can't get upset if nothing ever happens for the song. Oh well, I didn't really write it, but yeah, the lyrics typically it's like one verse and the chorus kind of happens around the same time as writing the rest of it, and then it's just sheer perspiration to actually finish that. And that's where the download happens, like how easily that comes together. So a lot of times we go back and forth on things, we'll be talking through things, and sometimes it's just like one word that sets the song off. Like Bam has this song that I love that the first word is prestidigitation, and it sounds so weird, but it's like prestidigitation. It sings great,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay, you got to finish that, and he did. He finished all the lyrics, but I was just like, that's just, I'm hooked. You have to carry on, so I love stuff like that. Just like the right lyric kind of sets you up.
Do you have a preference for writing by yourself or writing with other songwriters?
um I like, yeah, I like any version. Yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to reach out and have me write a song with them, I'm down. Um, yeah, no, I mean, but seriously, like, yeah, I think so long as you're kind of on the same page, like I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm not good at,
Mhm.
when it comes to songwriting. Like if somebody was like, okay, we're working on a death metal song, do you want to participate? I'd be like, I'm not the right person.
I'm not your girl.
I'm just not. I'm not the right person. Not at all. I mean, my head is very, I know I'm very like 70s AM and FM influenced, but also the AM stuff, the Archies and the Partridge Family and all that super cheesy stuff. Like I loved it when I was growing up. And so all that stuff has a definite influence on me. And then, I think there's a lot to be said for the parts that you put in a song, the arrangement, how you produce it goes a long way into, I don't really want to call it the songwriting, but it goes into a lot to shaping the song. And
Mhm.
so we've been exploring a lot of really interesting things with that as well. There's another song, another one that we wrote. Actually, I wrote on piano years ago, literally years, and we don't even know when I wrote it, 25 years ago or something. And I know, right? Your eyebrows went,
I'm
what?
like,
What?
that's a whole
And
other part of your life.
oh, I know. And so we kind of decided like let's try working on that. And and that was one of the songs that I teased. It was called Mars Boy.
Mm.
And for that, I was really hung up because it was written on piano and it's in the key of freaking B flat, not a great guitar key. So I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And bam, in his infinite wisdom, he always like gives me nuggets. He's like, try this, explore this. And he was like, maybe see what Davy Johnston does for Elton John, because that's a very like unique piano part that you played. That's not like it's Elton or something, but it's very unique. And Davy Johnston is this phenomenal guitar player who comes up with these amazing parts for Elton John that are totally memorable. And so, thank you, YouTube.
You can find whatever you want or whatever you need.
It was right there. It was like this whole like hour-long masterclass with Davy Johnston showing you all these insane tunings and these incredible parts. And during the course of that hour, he was like, and then this one song Elton wrote, and it was in B flat. So I tuned the guitar to B flat. But I was like, wait, what? How did you tune it? And I ran in here in the control room and I grabbed my grabbed not the 5 string, I grabbed the telly or something, and I was like, here, watch this. And I retuned the guitar, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. Blah, blah, blah. I came up with this whole thing. And it was just like this whole like bizarre part with harmonics and all this stuff. And now it's become like a hook in that song.
The one from 25 years ago.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's like, I'm like, that's like my favorite part of the whole song now. It's just like bling, bling. And I'm like, thank you, David Johnston. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah. Incidentally, David Johnston is, not is he just a phenomenal guitar player, but he has 7 children of his own.
Oh, I wonder how many of them are amazing musicians, if at all.
You gotta wonder, right? Like, okay, you got a band there, dude? Like, what's going on?
I thought you were going to tell me he also lived 2 houses down from you, but he
Ah,
didn't. That would have
I
been amazing.
wish. I wish. Yeah, I wish. That would have been amazing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Cher,
Yeah, for sure.
thank you so much for joining me today. So to recap, you are still writing a whole lot of music. You're producing for people,
Yeah.
you're doing soundtrack stuff. You're doing all kinds of things. What can we expect from you musically? Are we allowed to be excited about music coming out this year, or are you just kind of playing it as it goes and just figuring it out? Like, are you gonna make an album for us, singles? Do we have anything?
Yeah, we're talking about it. We don't know. I mean, does anybody buy CDs anymore? Does anybody buy vinyl anymore? I mean, we don't have a CD player.
Mm.
Our cars don't have CD players in them. We do have a very nice turntable. So we've been talking about that, and it's really become about the format and the delivery. Like, how are we going to release something? So we're thinking about just maybe doing some singles, so to speak, and kind of approaching it that way, which we've never done before. And maybe we just like release this song and then this song and then da, 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 and, until there's enough of them where you go, okay, do you guys, does anybody want to actually buy this as a record? I don't know. Neither of us are very good at marketing. We're just like creating, 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 so, well, I don't know, but yes, definitely, to answer your question, absolutely 100%, there is definitely music coming out. And but in terms of the format and the delivery, we're kind of unsure what to do, so we'll hopefully figure that out sooner than later. And but yeah, we're definitely getting stuff done and getting it there. And
That's
yeah,
making
yeah,
use of that studio that you could finally get back to the upgraded
yes,
studio.
yes, it sounds so good. I'm so happy with this equipment. It sounds so good.
That's incredible. All
Yeah.
right, Sarah. Well, thank you again, and we'll have to have you back again when the music starts coming out for us, and not 4 years from now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, fingers crossed on that. Yeah, we'll get it done. Get some stuff done.
But we're excited for new
Cool.
music from you and just to see you and hear from you. And I will talk to you again soon.
Rock on.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of MetalNet TV with shareross. Make sure that you are subscribed to MetalNet TV. Go ahead and give it a share so that other folks can know about us. And, leave a thumbs up and a nice comment for me or share. I'll see you again next week.